Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hey, welcome back to the Mailman Minute, baby. I try to give y'all at least 10 minutes to plant a seed in your head to give you something at least to think about. So we're going to jump right into it. But what do we always do? We think in the box, we think outside the box, we think around the box, under the box, above the box. And what is the box? The world is our box. And we're going to do any and everything that we legally possibly can to make what we want to make happen, happen. So let's get into it. But if y'all can do me one favor, I would greatly appreciate that. And that favor would be I hope that you're enjoying the podcast. I just ask one thing. Could you like, subscribe, and follow? Tell a friend. Leave a comment. I'm trying to grow this channel and I want to grow it with you. Now let's get back to this entertaining content. Yeah, welcome back, man. Let's jump right into it. Mailman Minute. Familiar pain when dysfunction feels like home. Some people will accept the life they become accustomed to instead of reaching for the life they deserve. Not because they enjoy suffering, not because they woke up wanting to be mistreated, not because they don't want something better, but because sometimes familiar pains feel safer than unfamiliar peace. Think about it. You know how the pain operates. You know its schedule. You recognize its voice. You know when the argument is coming. You know what happens next. You know how to survive it. So even though it hurts, at least you know how it hurts. Then something healthy walks into your life, and suddenly you're nervous. Because peace doesn't look like anything you practice surviving. Some people would choose the devil they recognize over the angel they haven't learned to trust. Not because the devil became good, because the devil became familiar. And familiarity, has a dangerous way of dressing itself up like safety. You can put a smile on dysfunction, put makeup on mistreatment, put expensive clothes on disrespect, give toxicity a nice house, give chaos a beautiful face, give manipulation a romantic nickname. But changing the packaging doesn't change what's inside the box. Poison doesn't become water because you poured it into a prettier glass. If you spent years around yelling, silence can make you nervous. If you spent years around arguments, communication can feel suspicious. If you spent years being ignored, attention can feel overwhelming. If you spent years being controlled, freedom can feel like somebody doesn't care. If you spent years being lied to, the truth can sound like another setup. If you spent years fighting for affection, somebody giving it freely can make you ask, what's the catch? There might not be one, but your past taught you that kindness always sends an invoice later. So now you're looking for a bill that may never come. That's what people don't understand. Sometimes you don't just carry memories from your past, you carry instructions. Your past teaches your mind. When this happened, do this. When somebody say this, protect yourself. When somebody get close, back away. When somebody raise their voice, prepare for war. When somebody gets quiet, something bad is coming. And those instructions might have helped you survive yesterday. But survival instructions can become dangerous. When you bring them into a place where you're no longer under attack, you can spend so much time wearing armor that when somebody finally comes to hug you, all they can feel is mental. That's deep. Because the armor that protects you from the wrong person can prevent the right people from even reaching you. Now, understand something. I'm not telling you to blindly trust everybody who smiles at you. Absolutely not. Everybody offering love isn't offering love. The manipulation can be patient. Bad intentions can speak softly. People can pretend. Discernment still matters. But there's a difference between having standards and automatically rejecting everything healthy because healthy feels unfamiliar. Different doesn't automatically mean dangerous, and familiar doesn't automatically mean safe. Sometimes familiar is exactly what has been hurting you. Imagine somebody who lived beside railroad tracks their entire life. Every night, boom, train comes through, the house shakes, windows rattle, walls vibrate, but eventually they sleep through it. Then one day they move somewhere peacefully. No train, no shaking, no noise, nothing. And that first night, they can't sleep. Why? Is peace hurting them? No. Their mind simply became so accustomed to chaos that silence started sounding suspicious. Some people are living emotionally the same way. You've been sleeping beside emotional railroad tracks your whole life. Arguments, disrespect, chaos, manipulation, broken promises, hot and cold, love today, hate tomorrow. Eventually, you learned how to sleep through that train. And now peace walks into the room and you can't sleep. That's why somebody can tell you, I love you. And instead of you feeling safe, you become suspicious. Somebody say, let's talk about this. And you're preparing for an argument. Somebody say, I was wrong. And you're waiting for the manipulation afterwards. Somebody ask, how are you feeling? And you're wondering, what do you want to know? Because when you spent your life learning defense, sometimes affection feels like an attack you haven't identified yet. But here's the danger. If you don't recognize that pattern, you can start pushing new people I'm sorry, y'all, and you can start punishing new people for crimes they never committed. Read that again. You can make innocent people serve sentences for somebody else's crime. That's not right. Somebody betrays you 10 years ago, and somebody today is still paying restitution. Somebody abandoned you. So now everybody has to prove they won't leave. Somebody lied to you. So everybody begins guilty until proven innocent. Somebody broke your heart. So you build a courtroom inside of your very brand new and every brand new relationship. And everybody who walks through the door is immediately placed on trial. That's not always protection. Sometimes that's yesterday still controlling today. And there's another side to it. Sometimes people sabotage healthy situations because dysfunction gave them a role they understood. In chaos, you know who to be: the fighter, the fixer, the survivor, the protector, the person always cleaning up everybody else's mess. But when there's finally nothing to fight, you don't know who you are anymore. That's when you've got to understand peace requires skills too. You learn how to survive dysfunction. Now you've got to learn how to survive without it. Those are not the same skills. Survival teaches react. Growth teaches respond. Survival says protect yourself from everybody. Growth says, learn who actually requires protection from. Survival says, never be vulnerable. Growth says, know where vulnerability is safe. Survival says, expect the worst. Growth says, pay attention to reality instead of forcing yesterday on today. That's growth. And growth can feel uncomfortable because sometimes healing doesn't immediately feel like relief. Sometimes healing feels like learning a language nobody taught you. Imagine being handed a book written in a language you've never seen. The book could contain the most beautiful story ever written, but you still can't read it. That doesn't make the book bad. It means you've got to learn the language. Maybe healthy communication is a language you were never taught. Maybe accountability is a language you were never taught. Maybe affection is a language you were never taught. Maybe boundaries are a language you were never taught. Maybe consistency is a language you were never taught. Maybe peace is a language you were never taught. That's okay. Learn it. Being unfamiliar with something doesn't mean you're incapable of understanding it, because there's a difference between this doesn't feel right and though this doesn't feel familiar. Those two sentences can feel almost identical, but they can lead you in completely different directions. Sometimes your instincts are warning you, listen. But sometimes your habits are simply saying, we've never been here before. That's when you've got to slow down, observe, communicate, and determine which voice you're actually hearing. And we have to think about our children too, because children are studying relationships long before they understand the word relationship. They're watching how adults communicate. They're watching how disagreements happen. They're watching what gets tolerated. They're watching who apologize. They're watching who doesn't. They're watching affection. They're watching disrespect. They're watching boundaries. They're watching forgiveness. And without anybody sitting them down and teaching a class, we're giving them a blueprint. Then they grow up, build from that blueprint. And everybody wonders why the house looks familiar. If the blueprint was broken, if the blueprint was broken, don't blame the building. Fix the blueprint. And that's where adulthood becomes powerful. There comes a point where you have to say, this may be what I learned, but it doesn't have to be what I continue. Your childhood may explain your patterns. Your past may explain your fears. Your experience may explain your defenses. But eventually, explanation has to meet responsibility. You can't go backwards and rewrite the first chapter, but you are holding the pen for the next one. That's your power. You don't have to hate the people who taught you the wrong lessons. Some of them were teaching you from the only textbook they had. Maybe dysfunction was handed to them too, and handed to the person before them, and the person before them, generation after generation after generation, until somebody finally says, this stops with me. That's how cycles break. Not because somebody pretends the past never happened, but because somebody finally decides. Pain may have been inherited, but it would not be my legacy. That's powerful. You can learn peace. You can learn communication. You can learn accountability. You can learn boundaries. You can learn what healthy affection look like. You can learn to receive kindness without immediately looking for the knife behind somebody's back. And you can learn to love doesn't have to hurt you every day just to prove that it's real. Because pain isn't proof of passion. Chaos isn't proof of chemistry. Jealousy isn't proof of love. Control isn't proof that somebody cares. And constant fighting isn't proof that two people belong together. Sometimes a red flag is just a red flag. Stop turning warning signs into decorations. And there's something else. Don't romanticize suffering. You don't recognize a trophy for tolerating what is destroying you. I'm sorry, y'all. You don't receive a trophy for tolerating what is destroying you. There's no championship ring for staying miserable the longest. There's no gold medal for accepting disrespect. And loyalty doesn't mean volunteering to be somebody's punching bag. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up. Sometimes walking away is finally choosing yourself. So ask yourself, am I choosing this because it's good for me or because it's familiar to me? Do I actually feel safe or do I simply recognize the danger? Am I rejecting something because it's unhealthy or because I don't know how to receive something healthy? Am I listening to wisdom or am I listening to an old wound with a microphone? That's the question. Because sometimes your past isn't sitting quietly in your memory. Sometimes your past is holding the steering wheel. And you're wondering why every new road keeps taking you back to the same destination. At some point, you've got to take the wheel back. You deserve the opportunity to experience something healthier than what hurts you. But deserving it and being prepared to receive it are two different things. You have to learn it, you have to recognize it, you have to protect it, and sometimes you have to stop running from it. Because the life you deserve may not feel like the life you've known. Maybe that's the point. Maybe peace feels strange because chaos had you for so long. Maybe consistency feels boring because unpredictability kept your emotions running. Maybe respect feels foreign because disrespect became your native language. Maybe healthy love doesn't give you the same emotional roller coaster because healthy love wasn't supposed to be an amusement park. It was supposed to be somewhere you could breathe. So don't mistake chaos for chemistry. Don't mistake control for care. Don't mistake suffering for loyalty. Don't mistake familiarity with safety. And don't mistake peace for weakness simply because nobody taught you how to live inside of it. You survive what you know. Now give yourself permission to learn something better. Because the goal isn't to spend your whole life becoming better surviving the fire. The goal is to eventually walk out of the burning house. And when you finally get outside, don't run back into the flames just because the cold, fresh air feels unfamiliar. Remember, you are chasing a change. I am Mailman. The message has been delivered. It's up to you what you do with it. We up out of here, baby. I hope that this Mailman Minute was inspirational and allows you something to reflect and think on. Because my purpose for this is to give people a way to look at things in a different light. Have an open mind. Until next time, we up out of here. Woo-hoo. I love y'all.